Hey guys, welcome back to Culture Cantina. I'm one of your hosts, Rocky Kari.
I'm Sri Kari.
And today is a very exciting day because today we are reviewing Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. We both are huge Star Wars fans. We have loved all of the Star Wars movies to a certain degree. So we're really excited to see the next installment and the final installment in the Skywalker Saga. Let's get right into our spoiler-free talks. We'll give our rating and then we'll get into our spoiler talk.
So yeah, going into this movie, there was a lot going in. So we had Force Awakens in 2015 and then The Last Jedi in 2017. And it really created kind of a rift with the Star Wars fans. We personally liked certain parts of The Last Jedi. There were some things we didn't like. For my spoiler-free review, I think this is an okay movie. In terms of the things that I liked about it, I really liked some of the characters and how they interacted with each other. Homages to the past and previous high points of the Star Wars saga were very well done. There were a lot of emotional parts that you really connected with the characters and what was going on, and I really appreciated that. Some of the action scenes were great. There's a lot of really high points in the movie, but then some of the decisions that the movie made I didn't really like and were very confusing. Kind of thinking more about what the characters would do, it didn't seem natural, and some of the decisions just didn't make sense. A lot of it made me scratch my head and wonder why they decided to do that, and some of the execution I just felt didn't really fall through. I like some of the characters. I think that there's good action in this movie, and I think it's very emotional, and there's some certain parts that make you connect with what the Star Wars saga is trying to finish up with this movie. But overall, some of the execution is a little bit messy. I didn't like some of the decision making. So overall, I'm kind of so-so on this movie. I'm going to give it, I love the Star Wars saga and I appreciate that we got it back. But overall, I think I'm going to give this movie a 6.5 out of 10. So, alright, okay, but I guess I wish it was a little bit better.
I'm very similar to what you would say. I was personally really disappointed with this movie. I really like the camaraderie between the characters, especially like the heroes of the story. Their camaraderie and the banter between them is really good. The action set pieces are great. But my only thing, and like you said, I'll get more into this when we get to the spoiler part of this review, I don't really like some of the choices that the characters go through. I don't like some of the plot decisions. I think some of the characters acted like they wouldn't. And overall, I just left the theater feeling like it could have been leaps and bounds better. Overall, I think I'm going to give this a 6. It might lower as time goes on, but right now I'm going to say a 6. I think it was pretty like in the middle. It's not a bad movie, I would say, but it's definitely not a good movie.
Yeah. I would say that this was better than Last Jedi. I don't think that it's better than Force Awakens.
I actually don't know if I would say it's better than The Last Jedi.
Really?
I don't know.
Wow.
I'd have to say more, think about that longer.
Okay,
yeah.
fair
They're
enough.
two really different movies.
Yeah.
It's hard.
And I think a big thing is Force Awakens set up all these things, then Last Jedi kind of deviated and kind of made you question everything. And then in this final chapter, you're left getting answers, and you do get some of those answers, but then there's some other questions that kind of have you guessing, why did they do that, or how does that work?
It feels like it's maneuvering around Episode 8.
Exactly. Yeah, totally. Which, again, can make for a messy movie that you have problems with sometimes. So I think if you're an intense Star Wars fan, you've probably already seen this before you're even watching this video. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, I think every Star Wars fan should go see this movie. Again, it's part of this 9-movie saga, like multiple trilogies that we've seen over the past 40 years. So I think it's worth going out and checking it out. If you're not a Star Wars fan, I think you might be, again, asking a lot of questions and kind of curious as to how that works.
And the parts of the movie that we did like, that really emotionally resonated with us, you need background for.
Yeah.
So if you go into this, you're not really gonna.
Yeah.
It's not gonna hit as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I would agree. I think every Star Wars fan should see this movie and is going to see this movie. I do think that it does disappoint. I think it's gonna disappoint most of the fans, but we'll just have to see how the coming weeks go.
I mean, I know critics came out and apparently I didn't read too much of it, but tore into this movie. I've heard some fans that really, really like it, some fans that really don't like it. So it seems like it's a little bit like The Last Jedi kind of diverging this fan base a little bit more.
I wish it wasn't.
Yeah, but I mean, again, there's some great parts, but yeah.
So with that being said, we're going to get into our spoiler talk of the review. So if you have not seen this movie, click away now. So yeah, let's get right into it. So the movie opens up with Kylo meeting Palpatine, which, in my opinion, is actually one of the best moments in the movie. You're really intrigued with, oh, how's Palpatine gonna be? And this actually gets into one of my gripes of the movie is Palpatine. They really, quickly throw, he's back, and he is the reason that he controlled Snoke, and he's the one who talked to Kylo this whole time. That's it. But bada bing, bada boom, he's got a fleet. And it's like, what? Where did this come from? They barely explain it. I think this is a scene that really needed exposition that was not there.
Yeah.
But it is a good opening to the movie, and it makes you, right into the action.
I mean, I did appreciate the Palpatine scene. It was kind of getting great. It was great getting clarity that, okay, he's back, and he is around to stay. And one thing I actually really liked about that opening sequence was seeing Kylo Ren, and he seemed a little bit more mature as being the overlord and the leader of the First Order. So I thought that was pretty interesting to kind of see his character. You know, there's some time that's passed, obviously, since The Last Jedi, and he's kind of fit into his role, and he's very serious about accomplishing his goals and defeating Rey.
Going off of that, I really like that it's called the Final Order.
That was pretty cool.
That's kind of his First Order, Final Order.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
Cute little thing. But and then we get into the main plot of the movie, which is that, or they find out that Palpatine is on this planet and he's building an army, and then I think they say in a few days they're gonna attack.
Yeah, I think something like that.
Yeah. Attack. So then they need to find the Sith Wayfinder to find the way to get to the Sith planet where Palpatine is, and this is one of the decisions of the movie I didn't like, because I feel like it's a wild goose chase trying to get this thing that will lead them to Palpatine. It just feels like it goes in circles with them going to this planet, then this planet, then this planet. But I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you think?
For me, I kind of agree with that. One thing, again, I guess I'm saying the devil's advocate to the positive of the situation, but one thing I really, really liked that was very consistent in this movie was the chemistry between Rey, Poe, and Finn. That relationship between the three of them, I really connected with that. And I feel we didn't get a lot of moments in the last two films where they were all together, and they kind of had this back and forth with each other of kind of going at each other, playing jokes. You kind of see this relationship forming between Finn and Rey. So I really appreciated that relationship. I think that's kind of what got me going, even though the pacing was a little bit off in that sequence. I still really appreciated the characters during that time.
Easily one of the best parts of the movie is their camaraderie.
Yeah,
I completely agree. The movie is mostly an adventure with them, and Chewie, C-3PO, and BB-8 are great background characters with them. I wish R2-D2 was there.
Yeah.
That's kind of weird they left him out, but it's alright.
Yeah.
And then, so the first planet they go to is that the new desert planet. I forget the name of it, but on that planet, Kylo Ren comes, and we actually get to see the Knights of Ren, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah.
I love how when they're all walking up in the Star Destroyer, it's really cool. Kylo leading them, and like you said, Kylo's now into action. But the Knights of Ren really don't do a lot.
Yeah, that was one disappointment in the movie for sure. I was so psyched that we got them, because I was like, yes, finally it's been talked about since Force Awakens. We get to see what they're all about.
Yeah.
But again, they don't really do anything, and they kind of disappear near the end of the movie. I don't remember
does Kylo fight them in the cave?
Oh, he does. He does fight them in the cave. That's right, at the end of the movie.
Yeah, but still.
But it was kind of why are they in it? I mean, I get it. You want to address that because it was a plot point that was not addressed. I don't know how I felt very mixed about the Knights of Ren.
It would have been cool if they had if in the final battle they're Kylo, how could you turn on us or something like that. Give some humanity.
Yeah, there's a connection between them.
There's nothing.
They're just that's a good point.
Yeah.
They don't talk at all.
They look badass.
Yeah.
But
you don't really get much from them. When the TIE Fighter is coming with Kylo coming right at Rey, that was just an amazing scene. She completely owns Kylo, which was just oh my gosh, that was just awesome.
It feels like a Wild West shootout.
Yeah. And then she does the flip and
it
cuts
really,
the wing off. It's
wow. It's so Star Wars-y.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah. And then we see them. So the ship is taking off. She's like, no, I gotta get Chewie back. There's no way. And she's going with the Force. And then Kylo is doing it too. And then and you can feel it. There was a big problem. Maybe to go back a little bit, a big problem a lot of people had about the last two films was Rey kind of just picks up the Force like nothing. It's kind of easy to her, and we don't really see her training or working hard. But then we're seeing that a little bit, and it's kind of implied that she's been training with Leia, which I feel really helped ease that big plot point that a lot of people had issues with.
Yeah.
And then when you see her on that planet and she's doing that, and again, Daisy Ridley, we didn't talk about this, she did a fantastic job in the film. The amount of emotion she has there is a great example of how great she is embracing the Force and kind of showing to us as the viewer that Rey knows the Force very, very well.
In this scene is when Kylo and her are using the Force trying to push the ship. Lightning comes out of her fingers, and that was crazy. Yeah. We both had our jaws open.
Yeah.
It was
immediately mouth just dropped.
It was really,
oh my god.
Really,
because it was part like, oh my gosh, she just used lightning, and it was also, oh my gosh, she might have just killed Chewie.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god.
We're really happy she didn't.
Yeah.
Because if she did, the fans would hate Rey.
It's like so like, I'm really glad they didn't do that.
Thank God they didn't do that.
Yeah.
I think they go to Zori's planet after that. I honestly don't remember.
Honestly, we're trying to remember where they go next, and again, I guess this goes to your point that the pacing is very all over the place with this movie.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, wait, when do they go here? When do they go there?
Yeah.
Again, I think that just proves the point that, again, the movie is a little bit messy.
They end up finding the dagger, then they gotta get C-3PO's data to like...
I'm glad he got his memory back. It would be really unique if his memory was wiped. And
because the reason I actually didn't like that he got his memory back, because it takes away from that scene when he gets his memory taken away.
Yeah, it's much more emotional when you're like,
when it sticks.
He's not gonna get it back. Yeah. I think a big point that we should address is, again, a big question going into this whole saga is, who is Rey and where does she come from? And we find out that Rey is the granddaughter of Palpatine. So her parents were, her father was the son of Emperor Palpatine, and he wanted Rey to come back, but they did not want to give her to them, and ultimately they are killed, and Rey ends up escaping, and they sacrifice themselves to save Rey. And this is a crazy part, because again, it ties back to the lightning, and it ties back to these flashbacks of that she is of Sith blood, which really makes it unique. I thought that was a really interesting thing. I know a couple people were theorizing that it was she was somehow related to Palpatine, and I thought that was pretty interesting. And I think it made it unique that she was good and she had Sith blood, but like Kylo Ren is bad and he has Skywalker blood.
That's pretty cool.
I kind of like that little.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
Kind of mix and match there.
It's poetry.
Yeah. So did you? Yeah.
I like it, and I like because I wanted her to be somehow related to Palpatine.
I did. Yeah. But you said you're okay with her being nobody.
I'm also okay with her being nobody, but the thing is that I wish that it feels kind of out of left field now that she's Palpatine's granddaughter. Because the last movie, like, the past 2 years after Last Jedi, it's been in my head that her parents are nobody, yes, let's move on.
Yeah.
But now it's like, they were nobody, but their parents were somebody. Like, that's kind of dumb. You know, I hate to say it. Yeah. And when it's revealed, I was like, oh, okay. Instead of in The Last Jedi when it was like, oh, who's it gonna be? Oh, it's nobody.
Or like, when we find out that Kylo Ren is Han Solo and Leia's son.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember the way they executed that was very much more intense than you finding out who Rey's relationship is.
Some of the execution with that was not good here. With Palpatine, with revealing that Palpatine was her grandfather. I don't know. It just felt kind of missed the mark.
Yeah.
We get to Endor. They go to Endor because they find out that the Wayfinder is there. It's really cool when Rey goes into the Death Star. You know, it's awesome seeing that.
Yeah.
But then we get to the Dark Rey vision.
Yep.
And that was...
Which was a total fake out in the trailer.
Yeah, and honestly, that was really stupid. I think that was just... It didn't even...
She turns and then she like, and then she went,
oh yeah!
She's like, whoa, what's that? Like,
that was so dumb. Why? And then I love the fight between her and Kylo.
Oh yeah,
that was cool. Like
their fights are always great. They're pretty, they're raw, they're emotional. I love their fights
when they're fighting with the ocean and everything, and she like pushes Finn away. Like that was.
Well, then he destroys the Wayfinder, and then you said this when we came out. What was the whole point of getting the Wayfinder? It's just destroyed, and then
because like
that's it.
He leads her there, like she like knows how to get there. So one thing we didn't talk about was a new Force power they introduced, like Force healing or whatever.
Yeah.
Which I think is interesting, and I think that kind of makes sense that Jedi are able to do that. But I thought it was gonna work like the Green Mile, where when you get rid of somebody's
Spoilers for the Green Mile if you
yeah,
seen that.
when you get rid of somebody's pain, the pain like transfers to you. But when Rey does it on that serpent, it looks like nothing happens to her.
Yeah.
And
it was a minor injury, but it's a little cut. But so we see it with the serpent, the force healing ability, and then the second time I believe we see it is in the fight with Kylo and Rey. So Rey stabs Kylo in that fight when he's caught off guard with his connection with Leia.
And
he's
that's
on the
actually,
ground. Yeah.
That's actually when Leia dies, and that was actually really sad to see. And I think it was cool that she just like. It was kind of basically just old age, which I appreciated.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, again, huge shout out to Carrie Fisher.
Yeah.
I mean, she just had a lasting impact on the Star Wars franchise, and it's sad that we couldn't. I'm sure if she was alive, maybe we could have seen a little bit more. But
for sure.
I mean, I really appreciate Carrie Fisher as an actor and the character of Princess Leia.
And
it was a very emotional scene.
Yeah, and
it was a good homage to her.
The editing they did with the footage they had was really good.
Yeah,
I thought they did a good job.
They did a really good job executing that.
Yeah, back to the
So he gets stabbed. She's healing him, and then again, it's a little bit similar. Like, okay, she's giving him force to heal him. But she seems pretty fine afterwards, and it's a pretty good cut.
It makes sense that Rey would do it because she's a good character and a nice person. So and she cares about Kylo.
Yeah.
So and then after this, we get to the part where Ben Solo talks to his dad, Han Solo,
as a vision, not a Force ghost or anything like that, like a memory.
Yeah, he's just in his head basically. Kylo is one of my favorite characters out of the sequel trilogy. And I really didn't like the way that he turned back to the good side. It felt so quick. You know what I mean? It felt so, like he was just like, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm good. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It felt really quick. I don't know.
One thing I love in movies, when movies get this right, I appreciate them so much, is amazing character development. When you see a character transform and change who they are and kind of see the events leading up to their transformation, it makes for beautiful storytelling. But with Kylo, he's still very angry, and he still, has this animosity, and I get he's conflicted, but it's just a snap, and he's just right back. I think it was really poor execution and poor character development, and Kylo is such an interesting character, and to just make him switch gears like that, I just felt that was just disrespectful to the character.
What was the spark that made him turn good? Was it his memory of his dad? Because he was just imagining.
Because I'm sure he's reliving that moment constantly up to this. And I understand. Okay, maybe he's at Leia and his mom passing away. But like,
I don't know.
I don't see that being a reason why you'd convert. I don't know. So again. Not the best decision making in character development.
Then we fast forward to Rey takes Kylo's ship and goes to the First Jedi Temple planet, and there she's setting fire to the ship, and she ends up seeing Luke's Force Ghost. And this scene is another scene I thought missed the mark on the execution. I wasn't like, oh my God, it's Luke. I was just like, oh cool, Luke. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It was just kind of I don't know, just didn't resonate with me.
Yeah, I also get the feeling that it wasn't as emotional. And again, maybe it was just that we saw Last Jedi the day before this came out. And again, Luke is a very, very different character for 90% of that movie. So to have him come back in this way, it's hard to kind of see that transition.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's hard to explain, but
and also,
again, I agree that it was not as emotional as it could have been.
Yeah, and but one thing I actually really liked was that we find out that Leia actually did Jedi training, and she trained to be a Jedi. And I think it's so cool that she had her own lightsaber, and it was like kind of passed down to Rey. That was kind of sweet.
Yeah,
I really liked that.
Yeah, and then Rey gets both, and it's
when he said like take both, I was like, it's going to be for Kylo or Ben Solo, with that leads us.
So I actually thought it was different. I thought she was gonna dual fight with.
Oh, really?
I actually did not know that was.
When she said that, I thought like, she's planning on dual wielding, but she's gonna throw it.
Okay,
like
gotcha,
that.
gotcha.
That leads us into the final battle, and before we talk about everything with Rey, the Emperor, and Kylo, we have to talk about the battle. So, what did you think about the whole battle?
So, I thought the battle was really good. I mean, I thought it was interesting. I liked Finn's part, and I liked Poe kind of leading the charge. I like Poe a lot, and I thought it was great to kind of see him in that leadership role.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was an epic shot when they turn. Like it seems like all hope is lost, but then the entire the people come and the galaxy comes to support the resistance.
And the music that
and the
plays,
music is it's a very emotional, great part.
Yeah.
But again, this makes you go back and think. At the end of Last Jedi, spoiler for Last Jedi, I assume you've probably seen it, but at the end of Last Jedi, they are on the ice planet Crate.
The salt planet.
The salt planet. And they do the same thing. They ask for help from the galaxy, and no one shows up. And I don't understand why in that situation no one would show up, but then in this situation you have almost 1,000 ships show up ready to go. It just did not make sense. So the battle itself I really liked. It was really intense. I liked the action. It was an epic scene. But again, in the context of if it made sense.
In terms of the plot.
Yeah, in terms of the plot, I don't think it made sense.
Yeah. I would agree. I think the action was okay.
Yeah.
But I do love when all the ships come and to the rescue. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And Poe's leading, of course.
Yeah. Side note: this is very much early in the movie. General Hux. We didn't talk about that.
Oh my god!
He is the mole. He's the mole. The guy in Force Awakens who's screaming to the top of his lungs like the resistance. Like we will rule the galaxy. The resistance must fall. Is the mole who's betraying the First Order just so he could get back at Kylo Ren, and then he just dies?
I think I think that's my because he was actually my least favorite character in 7 and 8, and I think I hated that. I hated it, and he only did it because he didn't he's like why are you doing this? And he's like, because I don't want Kylo to win.
It's what? A general would say that. He's baby her about that.
And it's so stupidly theatrical when he shoots at them and he's like, I'm the spy. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Gosh.
So we get to the final battle of the whole movie, which is Rey, the Emperor, and Ben Solo. And I really like it when Ben comes to help Rey in this final battle, and when Rey puts the lightsaber behind her, and then it teleports to Kylo, and he uses it. And you said this, it was awesome seeing Ben Solo with a blue lightsaber.
Yeah,
it
really
hit
cool.
you he's on the good.
Yeah.
And
again,
cool.
You didn't really get that character development, but it was still an epic scene, and I loved just seeing a Skywalker again.
Someone of the Skywalker blood.
Yeah, wielding a blue lightsaber and fighting for the Jedi and the good. It was very special. So I appreciated that a lot. And we find out that Palpatine's whole goal is to have Rey kill him, so that his soul can be transformed it can be transitioned into Rey, and she could be the new Empress, but also with him in her.
Yeah, I feel like that whole Palpatine's plan is so dumb. I don't know.
Literally, do what I just did. Walk through that. Say it out loud. And I mean, yes, it's Star Wars, it's fantasy, it's sci-fi. I get it, but that logic, I don't understand it. I don't know.
If I were to say Palpatine's plan in Return of the Jedi is he wants Luke to kill his father so that Luke can become his new apprentice. That makes total sense. Mm-hmm. This whole thing where he wants his granddaughter to kill him and then he's gonna put his soul in her and it's weird.
It's messy.
And also in this room we have this huge choir of Sith people. They have hoods and they're oh. That was so weird. So weird. I really didn't like that.
Who are they?
Yeah, who are they? We had no context. They're not is this a cult? The Emperor basically sucks the life force out of them.
Yeah.
And he's I don't know.
Yeah, that whole scene when he's sucking the life out of both of them, it just was kind of
weird.
Yeah, too extreme.
Yeah.
And again, it's Star Wars. I mean, at this point, it's you can kind of do what you want with it.
Yeah.
But again, I just didn't like that decision making.
It's the execution. It's the execution of a lot of these things.
Yeah.
But we get to one of my favorite moments of the movie, which I think had great execution, is when Rey finally connects with all the previous Jedi. You get to hear Obi-Wan, Anakin, Mace Windu, Qui-Gon, Yoda, all reprised by Ahsoka too from the Clone Wars, all reprised by the actors that played them. And I think it's really cool because originally I thought we were going to get some Force ghosts, but I think it's really cool that it's just the stars, and it kind of feels like it's the Force, and they're all together, and it made me feel like, this is Star Wars. Like, I don't know, it was really cool.
Yeah, it was a really epic moment, and you know, when you hear the voices and she gets up, she gets the other lightsaber and she kind of dual wields it, and is going against the Emperor like that, and then you just see him crumble. It's just the music is building up. It's a very, again, this goes back to what I was saying earlier. The emotional, epic parts of the movie really, really hit in this, and that was one of those moments. So I really appreciated kind of seeing, it was kind of all the Sith versus all the Jedi in one epic moment, which I thought was a beautiful way to do
that they hit great.
Yeah.
So after the Emperor dies, Rey ends up dying, right? She's dead.
Yeah, she looks completely lifeless.
She looks like
her eyes are open. Like
she's dead.
It looks like she's dead. And then Kylo comes, and maybe now that we're saying this, it's kind of making a little bit more sense. But he essentially gives his Force. So going back to the Force healing, he gives his heals her and gives her life. Which, I mean, I understand it because the other injuries we saw in the movie where it was Force healing being used, they were kind of more minor injuries that didn't mean you died.
Well, Kylo did get stabbed in the chest with a lightsaber.
But Rey looks fine afterwards.
So I don't know.
Yeah. And again, I think this was one issue I had, was the decision to kill, destroy, call it whatever you want, Kylo Ren / Ben Solo.
You think he should have survived?
I think he should have survived. I think it was sad to kind of see him go out like that. I appreciate the character sacrificing himself for Rey, but at the same time, this is Star Wars. You can kind of dictate what the rules are. So why can't he survive? And
why now the Force healing is detrimental. I give, you take. You know
right. And okay, if Rey was kind of hurt when she was healing before, and maybe she's passes out when she heals Kylo in the second healing scene, that would have made a little bit more sense. But then you kind of introduce this, and he disappears, and I was kind of sad that Kylo had to go out like that. I really appreciate that he sacrificed himself. But, One thing I want to talk about is the kiss. So
before you talk about the kiss,
I
was actually a big proponent of Rey and Kylo ending up together, and I had a big smile on my face when they kissed. I was really happy, but on the drive back, I was actually thinking it would have been more powerful if they just kind of looked at each other and then just hugged.
Yes.
I think
Thank you.
And fans could be like, dude, they're in love. And then there could be a debate do you think that they were in love? Nah, I don't think so.
Yeah.
And that, it's kind of sweet that they would hug because it's kind of like two children in this whole Star Wars saga, just alone in a beautiful moment together.
Yeah.
But instead they gotta go.
So I did not like the kiss at all. A big reason I didn't like it is because you're building up and you're getting hints that Finn and Rey have something there. And the fact that we kind of just ignore that entire thing.
It goes nowhere.
It doesn't. They don't address it at the end of the movie. You're kind of like, do Finn and Rey end up together? But it's why would you have them kiss when you're building and making hints that Finn really likes Rey? We don't really know if Rey likes Finn, but it's why? I didn't like it. I wanted, again, I'm fine if they ended up together, but don't have this kind of weird love triangle thing that you don't even address at the end of the film. I wasn't a huge fan of the kiss. Again, I think just an embrace, a hug, and just a very emotional would have been way more powerful.
Yeah. After that, we get to back to the Resistance base, and everyone's together, and there's a really sweet moment, and this goes back to what you were saying about the camaraderie, when Finn, Rey, and Paul are they're all together, and they're all crying, and it's just I don't know, that was awesome. That was a great moment. But then we get one of the weirdest exchanges in the movie, and that is when Lando talks to the ex-stormtrooper, and he's like, where are you from? And she's like, oh, I'm from nowhere. And he's like,
we'll find out, or something like that. And we looked at each other why?
We laughed.
It's I laughed out loud, and it's hard. I just didn't see why that had to happen. This is the end of the saga. Why are you creating these plot points are they going somewhere? I don't know.
There's not going to be an episode 10 for years.
Yeah, so it's maybe we don't know, but I don't know why they kind of opened that bag of worms. And we didn't talk about this. We didn't Lando being in the movie. We didn't really talk about that. I actually really liked it. It was great seeing his face again. He had the same kind of personality. Yeah. Even when he asked about Leia, like he says, send her my love. It's still Lando. So it was great seeing him again in the movie.
They did a great job with him. Besides that one scene that we just talked about.
Yeah.
We get to the final scene of this movie, which is Rey going back to Tatooine. And it's cool because we actually never saw Tatooine in the sequel trilogy. This is the first time we saw it. Yep. And she goes to Luke's old home.
The entire
sequel trilogy.
We've never been to Tatooine.
Yeah, we've never been 7, never been 8.
That's kind of crazy.
Yeah. And she goes to Luke's old home, and she puts away Luke and Leia's lightsabers, which I thought was very cool. That was a very respectful moment. Mm-hmm. And I think it could have ended with the sons there, and she like looks at the sons and then cut to credits.
Yeah.
But we get this old lady who says, "Who are you?" And she's like, "I'm Rey." And then she's like, "Rey what?" And then she's like, "Rey Skywalker." And I just felt like it came out of nowhere.
So we were kind of confused on this. We were like, wait, is she a Skywalker? And clearly, if you look at the bloodlines, she is not a Skywalker.
She is
blood-wise, she is not a Skywalker.
Yeah.
And again, I think the reason they made this decision is to having her say she's Rey Skywalker. It goes back to what Luke was saying in there when he comes back as a Force ghost, saying like, blood doesn't matter. You can be who you are.
Which is a
cool message. Yeah, you want to kind of continue the Skywalker legacy, which is really cool, but again, it just kind of seemed misplaced.
Yeah.
I don't know why they had to do that and have that weird exchange with this random individual.
Yeah.
Why couldn't she just say, I'm Rey? And just be proud of who she is.
Yeah,
Rey.
yeah.
I think that would have been much more powerful. Or to your point, just look off in the sunset.
Yeah, not even have that.
Yeah. I didn't like that decision.
And that whole scene is why this movie is called The Rise of Skywalker, and which is not a good name for this movie.
I do not understand why this movie is called The Rise of Skywalker.
Because it's only for that scene.
Yeah.
It's only for that scene. Yeah. And I think that...
And she's not... Again, blood doesn't matter, I get it. Your name doesn't matter, but like... Again, she's not technically a Skywalker, so it's like, what do you mean The Rise of Skywalker? I think you could have called this movie tons of other names. That did not make sense.
Yeah, so is there anything else you want to talk about with spoilers for this movie?
I mean, overall, again, I thought, hearing this, it seems like we had a lot of problems with the movie. Again, I think it comes down to some of the decision-making and execution. It just didn't flow through for me. I still really appreciate the characters, and the acting with a lot of the main characters was phenomenal.
Yeah.
And I appreciate the chemistry, and I appreciate the emotional moments that really like got me through this movie. And like, I'm not saying it in a bad way. Like, the emotional moments and the really big highs are really awesome. Like, they're entertaining. You feel, it's nostalgic, and it takes you back to what Star Wars is all about. And I really, really appreciate those moments. But again, I feel like sometimes the plot can be messy. It's been an amazing ride, and I want to thank Star Wars for it's influenced millions of people.
Yeah.
It is crazy how wild the Star Wars saga has just influenced everyone. So I appreciate that we can kind of go as family and talk about these things.
It's been so cool watching.
It's a crazy ride, and and we were very young for the prequels, so like to be able to kind of experience this and the theories and
the theater experience.
It's really awesome.
Like, it's gonna be cool, like years from now, telling like our kids and the future generations what it was like seeing this movie. So
totally.
That's kind of cool to think about.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. I think the movie missed the mark. I think it's a disappointing movie, and it did seem like we were bashing on it a lot. But there are some really good moments, and it's complicated. It's a very complicated movie.
Right.
It's messy, but I am happy that we did get a sequel trilogy. And I'm just so happy we have Star Wars.
Yeah.
Long live Star Wars. Really excited to see the future of this awesome series. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you like Culture Cantina. And we'll see you next time.
Thanks a lot.
Take care.